Welcome to Hometown Happenings. Carol McCarthy here at Moberg Field with Andy Leah. You know, there's just too much experience.
We couldn't get it all in one show, could we?
That's right. We couldn't leave without having more divulged from Andy Leah. So I wanted to talk more about some of the things that you experienced as a broadcaster. I mean, over the course of 50 years, some major events happen.
Yeah. I talked to one of the classes here in school and told them a little bit about some of the things that I had seen and done. And of course, being in broadcasting, I've interviewed a lot of people, from politicians to Miss Americas to pro wrestlers to a lot of athletes. And of course, one thing that, well, actually two things that stood out. I was at KLIZ in Brainerd, and that time we had teletypes. We didn't have the computers. And I was on the board that day that John F. Kennedy was shot. And that teletype ran continually, and we grabbed the stories and we put them on the air as fast as we could because we didn't have a network at that time. But that kind of stuck you right off the bat. And the other one was the 9/11, the airplanes. I was on the air that day, and I think Joel Swanson was the manager at that time, and somebody came running down the hall and said a plane hit the World Trade Center. I thought, well, maybe one of those little puddle jumpers had the wrong navigational and ran into it, but that developed into much worse there. And of course, we were able to go to CBS for the rest of the story there. But two events like that kind of wake you up. But
right.
And of course, some of my big interviews, I have done most of the governors of Minnesota, it seems like, and. Of course, Hubert Humphrey, I had the chance to interview him too when he was Vice President of the United States. So that was pretty special. Sports figures, man, I got them all there from to Adam Thielen, who's now, but all the twins from Billy Martin and the early twins, Kent Herbeck, of course, and Kirby Puckett was one of my favorites.
Oh, sure.
Interviewed him a couple of times when they won world championships, so that was neat. And a lot of hockey players too. We had Matt Cullen from Moorhead, who's been on two world championship teams. Football players, I did a lot of interviews with football players over the years, and just about all of them, but even pro wrestlers, we've done that. We used
Jesse
to,
Ventura?
Jesse Ventura, yes, and,
right.
and the Crusher and the Bruiser and all those. But
So was there anybody that you were surprised by, you thought would be one way and was totally a different personality you thought they would be? Any
Billy Martin. Everybody said fiery Billy Martin, you know, and he was tough to interview, but really, Billy was a pretty nice person, but when there was a camera around, he could be fiery and he could tell stories. And but there's a lot of people like that. They have the persona when they're in front of the press of being over, you know, macho, and then they're really nice people on the side. So.
Ever get to interview Donald Trump?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
I did. You got to stay in a little longer.
I did go to New York in 2000. I went to the top of the World Trade Centers, and I did go to the Trump Tower, so I saw those two. That's about as close as I came to them. So.
All right. Andy Leah is getting set to retire, and he may be retired as this airs. His final date is July 1st. We're talking to him about some of the things he's been through. You know, you've been through some of the major events, but, you know, the thing about radio, too, I know 50 years ago, it's all about live, as we talked about before, and, you know, you've been through, I'm sure, a ton of storms and
yes, we've had,
that sort of thing.
Storms, accidents. I've seen some accidents you don't even like to talk about. You know, I did some news covering when I was down at KLIZ in Brainerd. And tragedy, you know, you see them and they kind of haunt you for a while, and then you forget about them after a while too. Somebody asked me the other day, you're on the air all the time, don't you ever get sick?
Oh, yeah.
You want to know something? I've never used a sick day in 40 years.
Really?
and I've never been late for work, so you people
go.
better be on time.
Okay. But you've had, I know that you have, there are probably days you probably could have taken a sick day.
Yes, there's been a few where I've been a little under the weather, and there's some days. I did particularly a sectional hockey game at Wilmer. The game started late. It went to overtime. I rode with the team bus down there, and then kids wanted to stop and eat afterwards. I think I got home at 2 o'clock in the morning, and of course I hadn't arranged for anybody to sign on. So I think I went to work with about 3 hours sleep, and I was kind of grouchy that day. So,
But you've done multiple games in a day. I mean, you've gone from sport to sport even in one.
yeah,
day.
I've done that where I've done a basketball game in the afternoon, a hockey game at night. In the early days at KDLM, we used to do state tournaments. Who didn't matter who was playing, so I'd go down there and do at least 3 to 4 basketball games a day, and so.
You get
My
a little,
voice is getting a
you
little
get
weak.
a little lemon or
Yeah.
honey and lemon in there. All right. So yeah, and through the years too, I'm sure, through the 50 years, you've seen a couple generations go through. So you probably
Yep.
see some of the kids of some of the players kind of get them mixed up a little
Well,
bit. No?
it's kind of scary when you think I did the play-by-play of Dad, and now I'm doing the play-by-play of the kids. So then I think you've been around a little bit too long. But we've had some great athletes over the years here at DLHS, and it's nice. And the kids come along now, and next generation, we'll see what happens.
Well, it's just such a great resource to have you
Yeah.
on the air because you do know that background of the teams and kind of where they come from
Yeah.
and, watching the generations.
And I've had some good color men. I lost Bruce Nelson, my hockey color guy, and he was fantastic. And Jay Sorensen was with me many years on the football trail and did some basketball with me. And I thank those two for all the work they put in and for the pay they've got. If you didn't enjoy the sports, you're not going to get rich at it. So
Right. Well, and
it's
I
like
think
coaching swimming.
that's exactly it. All right.
You're that superintendent.
So, and everybody loves that because sportscasters, I think the sign of a good sportscaster is that you do get really excited,
Yeah.
watching
Yeah.
Adam Thielen run down the
Right.
field and, score, touchdown. And, everybody has that voice in their mind.
Yeah.
That's,
Well, you get into the play-by-play, you get that flow all the
Yeah.
time, and then something stands up like a big play, and you're whoa, and then you let your voice describe what you're seeing. So hopefully I've done a good job all these years of describing the plays and what's going on the field or in the basketball court or in the baseball diamond. So.
all right. Well, at the football games, I might have to sit right in front of you because I'm sure that never leaves you. You'll probably.
That's why when I did the football games here, a lot of fans would stand in the back row below the window because they could hear us and then watch the game at the same time.
Sure. All right. Well, Andy Leah's getting set to retire, entering a new chapter of his life. And, like you said, you'll be coming to some of the games perhaps, and any other plans during your retirement?
Nope. Probably play a little golf, do a little fishing, and so probably.
Maybe you could get you a fishing show on TV3.
Well, I'm not that good. I've got good friends with big boats and
perfect.
and know where the fish are at. So
We'll have to
and
get,
Dick Beardsley's
yeah, I was
going to
gonna
take
say.
me out, so we'll see if he can find fish for
That
me.
might be a good show to
Yeah.
see. All right. Andy Leah, well, thank you so
Yep.
much for sharing some of your stories, and good luck in your retirement. I'm sure we'll see you around.
Yep.
And just know that you're all invited to Andy's going away party, or retirement party, I should
Right.
say, July 20th at the Pavilion from 4 to 8. And I'm sure there'll be a little roasting going on too.
Well, that, and I hope everybody will come. Made a lot of friends and met a lot of people over the years, and they're all invited. And hopefully we'll have a few treats there, some cookies or cake or something like that.
All right, excellent. Andy Leah retiring after 50 years in radio. We'll see you there.
Thank you, Carol.
All right, for Hometown Happenings, I'm Carol McCarthy along with Andy Leah on TV3.